Hi everyone, greetings from National Skills Network. This is Madhuri, and today I'm so glad to inform you that we are hosting a special discussion on Phygital model in skill development and vocational training, and how two very important partners have come together to make this happen. And this is the first time in India that such an initiative has been taken up. And let's go ahead and learn more in this discussion with Mr. B.V. Sudharshan, who is the Deputy Managing Director at NTTF, and Mr. Sudhakar Gudipati, who is the Business Unit Head for Vocational Training at TCS ION. So before we go ahead and get to learn more about various aspects of these initiatives, I'd like to tell you more about TCS ION. I'm sure most of you know what TCS ION has been into. It's a strategic business unit of Tata Consultancy Services, and it's focused on enabling productive outcomes for educational institutions, government departments, organizations from multiple industry sectors, and individual learners for efficient admission, learning and skilling, recruitment, and overall business operations with the use of Phygital platforms. Yeah, this is what is the key to the discussion today. And what is Phygital platform all about? Phygital platforms are platforms that overlay digital technologies over physical assets. So that's about TCS ION. And we have another important organization being represented by Mr. Sudharshan, that's NTTF. For those of you who are aware of technical training in India, I'm sure you have heard of NTTF, a pioneering organization, an institution which has been in existence for 6 decades. So you can imagine how much of wisdom and wealth it is carrying forward from all these years of technical training, mostly into manufacturing, but today in the latest technologies which pertain to Industry 4.0. And not only this, NTTF is also into skilling, reskilling, upskilling with their corporate solutions, and many NTTF alumni are also enterprising entrepreneurs today, besides getting placed in important and lucrative job roles. So with this, I'd like to get started with the discussion. Let's get started by asking both the speakers today about how the pandemic has disrupted skilling and vocational education. I think this is a very pertinent background for us to get started because we are talking about Phygital model. How has the pandemic disrupted? And today, are we still being skeptical about technology-enabled learning? I don't think so, but I think today we are wondering about how to make it quality-oriented, efficient, and also use models which are innovative, like a Phygital model. So I request both of you to reflect on this point and let our audience know more about your views.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Sudharshan, you can get started.
Thank you, Madhuri, for the very good introduction, and it's an important discussion we are having today. Like pandemic, which has disrupted most of the things, especially education and vocational education has undergone a tremendous or poised to be undergoing a tremendous change. For example, pandemic has forced a vaccine to be made available in 18 months, which normally used to take about 10 to 12 years. So it has accelerated everything. So people know that we can do in a short span of time much bigger things, which traditionally, which used to take a lot of time. For example, I want to quote you. India, when we got the independence, our literacy was around 14%. Today, 2021, 78%, still not 100%. So it has taken a long time.
Right.
And education also, we had about 20 universities, now 1,000+ universities over 75 years. So education has been growing. From the academic perspective, we have done well over the last few years. But this pandemic has accelerated the change and use of digital technology for the education mode. Hundreds of edtech companies are into competition. So they are developing one or the other products and luring the customer to come online and learn. So this is a good trend, but also it's a confusing trend. So people do not know where to go, what to do, because everyone comes up with the new things and often new technology. We do this. So it is a confusing stage we are in. And at the same time, when we talk about the vocational, it has been an undercover for last so many years in India. But over last few years, 8 to 10 years, it has been given a importance, very big importance, especially India being poised at a very demographic dividend position. That is, most of the young people are available in India. I don't want to talk more about it. So if we do not provide them a proper education, apart from the normal academic, the vocational education, which other countries have did long years, which is about their other countries, leading countries, anywhere between 40 to 90% involved in vocational education. But in India, we're still hovering around 9 to 12%, something like that. So this needs a change. And of course, this pandemic has forced us to find innovative methods. So vocational education, predominantly, we thought we cannot adapt to the digital technology, but we are fastly adapting. We are at a very good situation to impart vocational education, combining the blended learning model, that is the Phygital education, which we discussed in this, so which ensures maximum learning with the minimum tutoring.
Okay.
So there I pause and come back later.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for elaborating on the context in which we are discussing Phygital model today. Now, I would request Sudhakar to tell us more about how today we are not asking questions like, will it work? Will technology work? In vocational education, we are asking more things like how to make it work and how to get the results and the outcomes we want to get.
Yeah, thanks, Madhuri. Very good morning to you. Good morning, Sudharshan. It's wonderful to talk about this topic, and we don't need to really give any examples. We have two large organizations, TCS, which has been a world leaders in technology service providing, and as well as NTTF, who has actually been creating legacy in quality in education, quality of education in manufacturing sector. Imagine if these two organizations are coming together and talking about this topic. That's what is a big change which is actually brought in by pandemic. There are a few areas which I thought it's important to look back and see what are the kind of changes which have happened. I feel that from a human angle, I think there is a huge behavioral change the way we respond to things. We can very clearly say pre-pandemic behavior and post-pandemic behavior. Second, I think the mindset in which we had very structured mindset saying that, okay, things have to be done in a particular way. Imagine in my previous stints where we never imagined about using technology for learning, particularly in vocational education. They said that it is impossible. It can only run brick and mortar because people cannot learn in terms of using the digital technologies. But that mindset has completely changed because we were forced to use technology, not just for education, but across everything. You go to a small vegetable vendor, to a pani puri stall, to even a corporate executive who's sitting in a boardroom, everyone are using technology today. Right. So I think there is a huge mindset change which you have brought in. So pandemic pushed all of us to really get adapted to that change. And also, I think we also became much more adaptable to these changes which are happening. We are quick to learn and adapt to the changes which are happening. From a technology front, two things which I feel which have happened. One is a technology advancement. I think the rapid in which the advancement is happening, which has happened in the last 2 years, is tremendous. Earlier, organizations were taking time to adapt to the new technologies and new equipment, but I think that speed has completely increased. And second is one is the advancement, and second is the adoption. Even adoption has become quite faster, whether it is by people or by organizations. And from a vocational education point of view, I think there is a huge change from a perspective of even learning styles. No ITI or a polytechnic student or an engineering student could walk into the college for learning, correct? They had to really use digital technology, and people were breaking their heads to see how this physical training can happen. while you could use technology for delivering many more topics which are more theoretical, and you could have a lot of simulators which you could use it, but without hands-on practice in vocational education, that becomes extremely difficult. So people were trying to break their head, how do we address? That's where people also came up with innovative models where we said that let's separate these two. Let's look at the entire theory and practice through simulators on the platform, but for practical purpose only you walk into the center. I think that has really helped in bringing in a huge change in the way vocational space is done. And a few more things. I think now everyone can learn digitally. I think that's a fact which has happened. There's no, you could have a kid of a 6-year-old to a 60-year-old. Everyone actually learned how to how they can use digital for learning. And second, I think the self-paced learning has really taken a huge speed. I remember very well way back in 10 years back, when the e-learning modules were coming in, people were saying that, how can it work without an instructor? But today people learn by just looking at a video in a YouTube. So I think the self-paced learning has become a huge success. And I think the effective use of physical infrastructure and digital capabilities has also become a big learning for us. And that has brought in a huge change in utilizing the infrastructure which is there. And finally, I feel that now there is no other way but to go Phygital way for driving quality vocational education. Because we know the kind of challenges which are there in the vocational space across the country, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is quality content, whether it is teachers. I think that can be addressed using the Phygital model. So Phygital is a way forward for us to have successful vocational education in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Sudhakar. We will come back to the details of Phygital after a while. And as you very rightly said, a decade ago, perhaps technology was seen more as a threat. The teacher in the classroom would wonder, would it replace me? But today, teachers have befriended technology, applies this to trainers as well. But if you look at the entire ecosystem, how it has been evolving in the skill development and vocational space. So today there is still a lot of challenging situation in terms of infrastructure, in terms of trainers, teachers. So Mr. Sudharshan, how do you think we can come up when we can come over these challenges? With your experience of so many years at NTTF, maybe you can share a few insights about this.
Yeah, thank you. Typically vocational education, apart from trainer or infrastructure, will still have some stigma associated with this, still continues, whether to opt for vocational education or not. Of course, over the year, the things are bit changing, and it is getting recognition, and both the central and state governments are doing their bit. They brought in the BVOC program to officially recognize the vocational education. But still, there are the takers for these kind of technical vocational courses. Still, we need a leap jump over it. I saw day before yesterday in Karnataka newspaper, they have made it both the ITI, diploma, everything equivalent to the academic education so that they can apply for the government jobs. So this is a good step forward. So the people are started to recognize these things are important apart from normal academic education. So coming to the trainers, what you mentioned is the right point. Because so many options are there for an engineering graduate or anybody who comes up because of huge IT requirements. So how do we attract people to train into this vocational education? It's a big challenge because there is a demand in other sectors where people get a quick money. So people want to jump, why they want to learn everything. And the trainer is, of course, supposed to be constant learning. That is lifelong learning, because today technology changes very fast. They need to be undergoing a lot of training. So there is a hesitation to become a trainer. And especially when it comes to the vocational education, it's still more challenging because it involves hands-on training. He should master everything before he can teach. It's not just the theory you can learn from the book and teach. So this is a challenge. So we are working towards it. Even government have launched some TOT programs, but industries and like institute come together to do more on this trainer development program that should happen. Number two, infrastructure is a big challenge. I told you India has a big demographic dividend, so large youth. So how do we train them? So everywhere we cannot have the infrastructure, or wherever the infrastructure, we cannot call everyone. So we need to make use of the available infrastructure. So
Right.
there are, government has built a huge ship by investing 30, 40 years back, ITIs. So there are plenty of infrastructure available, maybe a little bit of modification here and there. So we should make use of this infrastructure available today and impart vocational education. Here, the blended learning, or so-called the Phygital education, plays a very, very important role. I would say rather a disruptive role in making use of these available infrastructure and providing vocational education, which is the need of the hour for the country.
Yeah.
So this is where I stop on the
Yeah.
way forward.
Yeah, just to re-emphasize on what you said just now, I think you touched upon a couple of very, very crucial points about branding, vocational education, skill development, because you mentioned the social stigma, and another important point is the availability of ITIs or similar institutions which have been in existence for I think about 70 years now. There are so many ITIs across the country. So there are few things like this, and also you touched upon the importance of training the trainers and attracting trainers. I would even add that, attracting good trainers is also a challenge, I think, in this domain. Now, Sudhakar, I would ask you something related to this. Let's assume that we are going ahead and implementing Phygital model in this kind of a scenario in the ecosystem, which is just shaping up right now. So how exactly would it work? You can perhaps give us an example, and what would be the advantages? Is it going to address some of the issues which Mr. Sudharshan just now highlighted?
Yeah, definitely. Madhuri, I think as Sudharshan rightly said, when we looked at the number of institutions which are present in the country, there are more than 20,000 ITIs and polytechnics which are existing. But they suffer majorly on few important aspects. One, they have a challenge with the capacity utilization. The reason why they have a challenge with the capacity utilization, because the number of courses which they offer today in the institution are actually not aspirational for youth to take up, and they are not industry aligned. Because of that, youth do not come there, because these are traditional courses which have been running since ages. You can see the difference between what NTTF has done in the country in the manufacturing space versus what's happening in the ITIs. The second and most important thing is availability of the quality content. They still use pretty old content, and it's not updated. It's not updated to the industry requirements. And third is the quality of trainers, which Sudharshan has spoken about it. See, one is the existing faculty. It's very difficult for you to even upgrade the knowledge of this existing faculty, because they've been using a particular methodology for quite a long time. Now, bringing in new faculty in the districts is also a big challenge. So we looked at seeing that this is a problem statement which is available with us. If we have to really bring in quality education in every district, what we can do? I think that was possible only with the technology integration. That's where I would say, in a simple words, integrating technology and as well as the physical infrastructure becomes a Phygital model. I want to just step back and tell you one experience of TCS in the space of examinations. Exactly 11 years back, I'm sure all of us know that when competitive examinations were run, they were run only in the big cities like Mumbai, Hyderabad, Pune, Bangalore, and so on. People from different parts of the country had to travel to these main cities to take the physical examination. And imagine there were many challenges. It could be because of their access to the transport, affordability, multiple challenges. They could not really come there. So what we did, we brought in the physical infrastructure in districts, and we integrated with TCS Ion digital platform. And today, after 11 years, in every district, you have an access to these examination centers where you walk into TCS Ion examination center for giving any competitive examinations. What have we done here? We made made sure that every youth in the country has access to this competitive examination so that they can cherish in their education. The same thing applies in Phygital model as well. Imagine there are n number of institutions who are present in the country. As Sudarshan rightly said, there are good infrastructure which is available, but they are not able to get utilized due to many other reasons which we spoke about. Imagine NTTF now and TCS, when we partnered, we said that NTTF is known for best education in manufacturing. Then how can we take these programs of NTTF from their 14 plus centers to every district in the country? That is what is a disruption which we are trying to do through the Phygital model. Maybe I think I can talk about Phygital model in detail at a later part. I think the idea is to integrate both physical infrastructure and digital infrastructure and make best education available for every youth in the country. That is what is that is the only way I feel that we could really disrupt education, particularly the vocational education in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think like you gave the example of how this model has been, working in the setup for assessments and testing. I'm sure the same thing can be replicated. And additionally, I think also with the NEP 2020 laying a lot of emphasis on vocationalization of mainstream education, I'm sure there is going to be a huge push, and this will definitely help in reaching out to places where, like you said, it would have been difficult to otherwise physically access. So in terms of adding to accessibility and other aspects of, expanding the outreach, I would just like to know more about, let's say, for example, what would be the courses, if we have to talk about the courses through this model. Perhaps, Mr. Sudharshan, you can tell us a bit about what can be the courses that can be offered through this model, both for students who are, trying to become employable, and also job seekers or first-time job seekers, or those who want to get upskilled as well.
Yeah, Madhuri, yeah. Before I talk about the courses, I want to tell you how we went about deciding the courses in this Phygital mode, because it took a long time for both the NTTF and TCS to come out with what is exactly the offerings. So we had a lot of ideas, and we had to do a lot of research on the future skills, what is going to be the demand, and what is the industry landscape, what all the big investments are coming, where the future employments will be there. So, and the future technology staying current and what comes in the future. So all these things we have to keep in mind before we offer. It has to be useful for the students from the knowledge perspective, and also from the employability perspective, it has to be more useful. These two are the main criteria in deciding the courses. For example, if I tell you, there are a lot of companies in South India predominantly manufacturing phone technology. When we talk about the phone technology, everybody thinks it's an electronic, but a lot of mechanical processes are involved. For example, CNC turning and machining. They need about 20 to 30,000 people to do on the shop floor CNC turning or machining. So of course, all other polytechnic can trade, but if we can provide on a platform where people can learn anywhere they are and use the nearest available infrastructure, so that could be a good, useful across country. So keeping in mind, so we have come out with about 14 programs in the phase 1, which includes certificate program in CNC turning, machining, and programming, and certificate program in embedded system and PCB design, and process control, PLC and automation, SCADA, certificate program in mechatronics, certificate program in embedded system, robotics, which is another important stream, and also mechatronic system integrators, which all helps in the automation industry, and some courses in sheet metal technology. And of course, we also brought in some 3 important diploma programs, which can be done in a Phygital mode, which is a really game-changing thing. Diploma in electronics engineering and embedded system, diploma in mechatronics engineering and smart factory, diploma in tool engineering and digital manufacturing. And we also brought in a small short-term course on Industry 4.0, which will be launched soon, which involves the industry participation as well. So these certificates is from 21 weeks to 44 weeks. And the diploma program is a typically 3 years period. So this covers the overall product offering in the phase one. And we are working on other courses in the coming. I think this addresses the current demand in the country, wherein a 10th pass students or an ITI or a diploma pass student can really do it in wherever they are. And also, this can also be offered to the already employed people as an upskilling program, because the model is designed in such a way that it can be flexible.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really interesting to learn about the list of courses you mentioned, which perhaps were earlier offered in a very traditional mode. And at the same time, I think what our audience should pay attention to is that we are not talking about e-content here, because there is a general perception that everything can be e-content. What is e-content? E-content could be a PDF also, but in vocational, it doesn't work that way. You have to have a blend of theory and practice. In fact, more of practice, and that's where partners like NTTF with their rich experience and industry partnerships are bringing that value of on the location kind of training. And of course, TCS ION with their expertise in technology are bringing their expertise, to make it work. Now, Sudhakar, you can maybe tell us a bit about how, these partnerships are actually working. Like, let's assume that, there are partners who are helping you to not only like design the course and execute it, implement it, but you also are talking about ecosystem partnerships, right? So in this ecosystem partnership, how do you bring the stakeholders together, different stakeholders? And at the same time, the way you're describing Phygital model, it looks like we are actually reimagining vocational education, for the 21st century and the coming years and months. So how does the entire system work?
Yeah, so Madhuri, there are, in this model, what we have done is we've created 5 digital platforms and 5 ecosystem partners. Let me talk about each one of them. The digital platforms are different types of, in the journey of a student, starting from career counseling and up to jobs. We have created 5 platforms which will help them really go through this process, either starting from career counseling to jobs, or at any point they can enter at any level. So let me talk about each one of them. The first one is a career counseling. As all of us know, this is a major challenge. One is awareness is a big challenge, and second thing, people do not know their capabilities and interests, which will help them choose the right course. So we are built a career counseling platform with the career counseling solutions, which will help students to identify what would be their right careers. The second is a learning platform, which is a very critical platform in this digital model, where we are bringing in various types of offerings, as Sudharshan rightly said, starting from a certification program to even up to degree. There are different offerings which have been given, and these offerings are made available through the academic partners like NTTF. In this case, we have got 14 plus programs where we are rolling out for certification, diploma, and as well as upskilling short-term programs. What is unique in the learning platform is the different pedagogical elements which are critical for technology. As you rightly said, it cannot be a PDF which is available for people to just read and then understand. You need to bring in innovation the way you use technology for teaching. The first one in terms of, the live lectures, how faculty can interact with the students with the help of the platform, and even creating a community where various questions which get arised could be moderated by the faculty, and using gamification as part of both learning and as well as assessments, and creating live projects where they are able to use technology to do many projects. So there are different pedagogical elements. There are 10 pedagogical elements which we have created, which are integrated. And the third one is the proficiency test. I think once somebody is skilled, then we'll have to test their proficiency. And there is a national proficiency test which is there. And then fourth one is the national qualifier test. I think most of the employers today look for cognitive and aptitudinal element, which is not been trained or assessed. So we have cognitive and attitudinal test, which gets tested by for the students. And then finally, the job listing platform, which is aggregating large number of job seekers and job providers and help them get the right jobs. So these five platforms are integrated with five ecosystem partners. Let me start with the academic partner itself, which is NTTF in this case. So why we need to work with academic partners? We feel that today NTTF has best education available, and they have been training since 6 decades. And there are N number of CEOs and CXOs have actually emerged from NTTF and are in senior positions. But we are able to do that with a limited presence. And we feel that this best education potentially can be taken beyond campus of NTTF and make it available for large number of youth in the country. That's why we work with best in class academic partners who provide content, who define curriculum, who will have lecturers who are available for teaching. Then the second important partner we bring in is industry partners. And NTTF has already been doing integrating their content with the industry. That became much easier for us. But if I really look at many other skilling programs in the country, industry and academia don't talk to each other. That's where we feel that I think it's important. Industry plays an active role in this. When I say industry plays an active role, it is not about just giving a logo. They play a role in terms of looking at the content, making their SMEs available for the live lectures and so on. Then the third important partner is a content partner or a publisher partner. I think this is a major challenge in vocational space. The content is not digitized. We need to work towards digitization of a content. Even best of the institutions in the country have not digitized the content. So if we can bring in digitization and contextualization with the help of video content, I think, or even simulator content, that will help best learning experience for students. And the fourth one is the OEM partners who could actually upgrade the infrastructure of institutions where the infrastructure is not available as per the industry need. The last and important aspect, which I told you, that we are taking these programs beyond campus. If you have to go and implement these programs beyond campus, we need physical infrastructure in every district. That's where we have learning and assessment centers who we are onboarding, who have a physical infrastructure available and a faculty for practical learning. And rest of it is all taken care by NTTF through our platform. So these are five ecosystem partners. We are integrating with the five digital platforms that is helping us roll out these 14 plus programs across the country.
Yeah. Yeah, and this looks like a complete end-to-end holistic approach, right? The way you detail about pedagogical aspects, especially because this is where I think the difference actually shows, when we implement vocational programs through a Phygital model. And now related to this is one of the most important critical aspects of maintaining, ensuring quality and consistency, because when many people come together, there is always an issue about how do we maintain this quality. And also at the same time, quality in vocational training is connected with industry participation, as you just mentioned, Sudhakar. It's not just, placements, it is much more than that, right? So Mr. Sudharshan, maybe you can throw some light on how do we manage quality throughout at every step of the Phygital model.
Yeah. I think Sudhakar and you already touched upon certain key points, which is of course key for quality delivery. So, but I would like to elaborate a bit on that. See, any program, vocational program, education program to be successful, there are some four important things. One is the curriculum or the content. Okay. The second one is the pedagogy. How do you deliver? The third is the trainer. Of course, trainer can be first or last, but it is an important thing. And the fourth is the system, what you have to manage everything in a meticulous way and in a robust way. So these four are the critical things. In this case, I will explain. The curriculum or content is curated by the best experts within NTTF, and also we have taken the advice from the industry, because industry people are on our academic council. So they give a lot of inputs to correct our curriculum and the content. So we are already in pace with the current trend and technology in terms of content and the curriculum. It is vetted by the industry. That's why a lot of placements happen at the campus. They come and take it. So that is number one. Number two is the pedagogy. How do you, in the modern days, of course, it is changing the pedagogy. People need to be constantly educated on the pedagogy and the modern techniques of effective outcome-based learning. Rather than teaching, they have to promote the learning. So this is the thing. We have been in this domain for the last 60 years, and we have mastered the art of delivering, which goes into the student's mind effectively. So especially in the vocational skills, where we have about 70% practical and 30% theory, we have mastered that. And we are trying to blend technology so that the practical content can be minimized so that they can learn in a self-paced way. And the third thing is the trainers, which is very, very crucial. That's where NTTF is unique in terms, because we have a TOT for about 18 months. So a trainer will undergo tremendous rigorous training, and he has to undergo all the practicals, lab, theory, test, everything a students undergo. So he has to clear everything before he even take a single class. So that's how it has been over last few decades, and it's a time tested. The trainers are well qualified. So, and the advantage is in the digital or the phygital mode we are talking is we can use an expert trainer or a subject matter expert anywhere in the world, so he can take the class, so that we can ensure the standard delivery happens and across without any borders. And the fourth one is the robust system we talked about. That's where TCS ION plays a very important role. Sudhakar has already explained how robust is TCS. And together with the NTTF assessment mode at regular intervals, we ensure the students is learning in the way he or she needs to learn. And one more thing, the industry experts, we have brought also subject matter experts to take some session during the course, so that he brings the live practical experience from the industry and delivers, and which are all recorded and kept, so student can refer any point of time, go back and refer. So keeping all these 5 factors in view, I think we are very confident that quality is ensured 100% all the time.
Yeah, that's really nice to know, because you seem to have taken care of every aspect of quality in terms of design and delivery. Mr. Sudhakar, is there something you wish to add to whatever Mr. Sudharshan just said in terms of quality?
Absolutely. I think Sudharshan covered it, all the aspects, including the platform. I think the only one aspect I just want to add, when we go beyond campus, which is basically, you can control this extremely well within the campus, because you have your own faculty, you have your own infrastructure. But when you go beyond campus and create a scale, that's where it becomes extremely important for us to create robust systems and processes, and also hire people who can ensure that the quality delivery is happening at every we need to ensure that what is happening in NTTF centers are replicated in every center in the country. That's where we would have achieved our dream of making sure that the vocational education is delivered at best quality. So we are putting in a lot of processes, systems, and people who can ensure across this entire delivery process, even at the very critical point of assessments, which is a major concern in the country today, how effectively the assessments can be conducted, both theory and practical, which TCS ION has mastered in the last 11 years. We are bringing in those capabilities also by innovating latest technology, which will help us conduct quality and very strict assessment, so that we're able to assess the candidates' performance. Because end of the day, when these students go to employers for jobs, they need to believe in the quality what we are delivering. Otherwise, two big brands, NTTF and as well as TCS, we have a huge burden on our shoulders to ensure that this brand reputation is not spoiled. So I feel that that's another important aspect which we should keep in our mind.
Yeah, I think what you just said about when students go to the workplace, when they get employed, and what is it that they represent from the course they got, I think that's most critical. Like you said, it reflects the brand, and it also is the challenge, like you have just detailed out, how none of the quality parameters get diluted in the entire process. That's really nice to hear, and I think many benchmarks will get set as you go ahead implementing all the courses you just described. So as a closing remark, is there something you wish to share? I think we have had a very interesting and enlightening discussion this morning, and I'm sure our audience are very curious to learn more. And I would like to inform them that in case they want to know more about the Phygital model, or what are the courses available and how they can be a part of this ecosystem which is coming up, and partner TCS Ion here. So maybe they can write into us. So is there something you wish to share as a closing remark, Mr. Sudharshan?
Yeah, I think this is the way forward, the digital education. And we are doing our best to give the quality training and vocational education, which is both from the knowledge and the employability perspective, will enhance their opportunity. And I urge all people to make best use of this, make India pride, and make in India and skill India happen.
Thank you. Yes, Sudhakar.
So I just want to end with one thing, that I think this is a collaborative model. There is an opportunity for multiple stakeholders to play a role in this collaboration, which TCS and NTTF is doing. I just want to name a few of them, because I think it's very critical. People who are watching this video, if they want to know how they can collaborate, they can really refer to this. One, I think the ITIs, polytechnics and engineering colleges who are looking for such kind of a solutions can potentially partner with us as learning and assessment centers if they have an infrastructure, what we are looking for. And the second one is, there are many institutions who do not have infrastructure, but would like to collaborate with TCS Ion and NTTF to implement such courses, because TCS is building this infrastructure across the country. If somebody has a capability to acquire students, they can actually become skill partners and join hands with us. And the third and most important thing is the industry partners. I think there are multiple roles we spoke about industry can play, starting from curriculum vetting, even up to jobs being provided, even the upskilling programs for their own employees. Industries could play a big role in this. And the fourth is the OEM partners. We are looking at creating quality infrastructure across the country through this model. I'm sure all of you know the quality of infrastructure NTTF has created. We would like to replicate that across India. Imagine if you have 100 plus centers who are having such kind of infrastructure for running CNC program or embedded systems. I think we could have solved the gap between industry and as well as education by introducing OEM partners who can upgrade the infrastructure. And also the fifth one is the universities. I think there is an opportunity for students who complete programs with us could actually get a vertical mobility by getting a BWalk through the universities. So we invite universities to join hands with us, who could actually provide BWalk for our students who are completing through digital model. And finally, I think government plays a very, very critical role in the skill development space. And as all of us know that there is a large amount of effort which is being put in. And I think on behalf of TCS and NTTF, we would like to say that we are ready to work with the government and implement the structure which we have created and the programs which we have created, which will help even government improve their quality and also achieve the scale. So with that, I would end, and we invite all the partners to join hands with us to make this a big success. And as you rightly said, reimagine the vocational education in the country.
Yeah. Thank you. And on behalf of Team NSN, I would like to wish you all the best for this partnership, and all the audience who's interested to know more. Like I said, please reach out and we'll be very happy to share more information. And this dialogue and discussion that we had today, it's not the last one. We are going to continue with this. You will be looking forward to more such dialogues and discussions, so that we send out the message that Phygital model is the model at present to make skilling happen across India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you, Sudharshan.
Thank you, Sudhakar. Thank you.